Hello, Dave.
Hello, Matt. How are you doing?
Here.
Fair to middling. Okay. We choose to do Please Hold and to do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. And because we ain't too bright. Manly Fairy Tits Kennedy. Words to live by. It's somebody's turn to remember Jeff Seiler. Me? You? How about all these geeks sitting there gawking at us? Can't they remember Jeff? What do you mean they never met Jeff? We've been remembering him for years now. Don't you think that they would have learned to let him into their hearts by now? I mean, with all our remembrances, don't you think they'd have a Jeff memory or two to share with the class? I'm a-looking at you, Dick Giacomo. What about you, Michael R.? I'm sure Jeff passed through Easton, Pennsylvania in his many travels. I'm not as certain as you are, but let's go with the momentum. I know Larry Wooten has a Jeff memory. It brings a tear to my eye every time I hear it. Say it loud for the cheap seat spatula. What do you mean this is a one-way form of communication? I can prove otherwise. And we will get to that. My Jeff memory, I think, I've probably covered this before. I think we're getting into that situation where we're going, did I talk about this before, or is this brand new? It was as if Jeff Seiler was programmed and sent to Earth to be Jeff Seiler. And by that I mean that whatever he would have the greatest enthusiasm for, he would tend to be unconsciously destructive of it. And the example I always think of is Sandy Atwell and I laboring prodigiously to get Cerebus in Hell with a question mark up and running and getting as far ahead on the strips as we possibly could before even letting anybody know that it was happening, and then posting a bunch of the strips that we had done ahead of time to a moment of Cerebus to say, this is coming, and these aren't the strips that are going to be in the comic books, but these are new strips, and these are humor strips. It's Cerebus as a comic strip. What a great idea, right?
Right.
And you weren't doing a moment of Cerebus at that point. That was still Tim Weber, right?
Correct.
Right. And it's like, okay, we're going to have the one chance to make a good first impression. Put the strips up there, decide how many strips we're putting up each day, and just try and blow everybody out of the water with this brand new Cerebus humor comic strip, Cerebus in the Afterlife. And they started being posted, and Jeff Seiler went, oh, this is where I come in, where I'm going to proofread them and say, what's wrong with the strips? And it's like, even this many years later, like whatever, 8, 9 years later, if Jeff was still alive and I sat down to try and explain to him, do you not understand that that's not how you promote a humor comic strip?
You misspelled Marmaduke. Yeah, that's not the point, Jeff.
Right. There should be a period on the end of this sentence. I would have chosen a semicolon instead of a comma. And it's like, well, if anybody was at all laughing at these strips as they were coming out, now they're going, what is this? Like a a comic strip workshop on how to correct Dave Sem's captions and word balloons, which spilled over into the other discussion, which was you don't proofread comics. In my frame of reference, you don't proofread comics the way you proof regular text. Comics have their own internal punctuation, and one of them is word balloons. That a word balloon in and of itself constitutes a form of punctuation, because you read this word balloon, and then if you move over to the next word balloon, you don't have a comma or a period at the end of the previous word balloon, because the punctuation is implied by the fact that it's in a word balloon, and now you're going to another word balloon. And I had that discussion with Jeff multiple times, where he would send me stuff, proofreading and saying, here's the corrections on this latest thing that you're doing. And it's like, no, I understand what you're saying, Jeff, but text is one thing, comics is another, which was odd, because I had the same basic argument with Will Eisner, of all people, where Will Eisner said, no, you don't break up one word balloon into two word balloons. Whatever you have to say, you have to fit into one word balloon. And I went, no, that to me is taking away a number of very, very, very sharp arrows in the quiver. That this is how you establish, as an example, comedic rhythm. If you read this word balloon and then there's another word balloon, or there's a silent panel in between that word balloon and the next word balloon, that implies a comedic pacing. That there's no way to do that by saying, okay, hard and fast rule, all words have to go into one word balloon. So it's one of those. You've had a couple of those too, doing this, remembering Jeff Seiler, where it's like, I'd sort of gotten over that, and then just thinking about Jeff Seiler and revisiting it, going, Jeff, how could you do that? Why would you do that? And I've really come to the conclusion that he was programmed to do that, to be an unconscious saboteur who is consciously trying to be extremely helpful and is being the complete opposite of helpful.
I do remember when I had the brilliant idea back when Craig Miller was following Cerebus, and it was coming out. I think it was quarterly for the first couple issues, and then it was biannually, and then it was, I'll get an issue when I get an issue type thing. And I had the brilliant idea of, why don't we just do a package job where, we're all Cerebus fans, we can cobble together an issue, ship it to Craig he can either publish it or he can pass on it. We're not gonna, no one's gonna be hurt, and crying about, you passed up on an opportunity to do whatever. And I very much was thinking of Will Eisner and the Eisner and Iger studio of, they packaged comics back in the 40s of, publisher would come and say, we want a superhero book. Okay, here's a superhero book. It was very much, that was the intention. And I opened it up to the old Yahoo group, and it was, why don't we make an issue that's like the Yahoo group? And I'm thinking, because no one in their right mind would want to read that. and volunteers, Margaret, Jeff Tundis, Chris W. I'm trying to think. There were a number of people who, these are the kinds of guys that are putting content on the group anyway. Let's invite them into this subgroup that became its own separate Yahoo group. And it was, okay, who's going to edit this? And I'm like, well, I can help. And within a week, it turned into, Matt's the editor-in-chief of this project. It's like, that was not what I signed on for at all. And
Right.
Jeff, being a natural proofreader, Jeff's like, "Oh yeah, I'll help with this," and I'm like, "Okay," and it turned into this weird round robin conversation that there's a part of me that's like, I really should take all the posts because I have them all, print them out and just put it in a bound binder and send it up as, put this in the Cerebus archive as we don't open that binder or look at it because it's kind of like the Ark of the Covenant and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's going to melt your face off, but it does exist. And it was one of those, we started to edit it, and doing it online was kind of a pain in the butt. And when Jeff came to stay with me, he's like, well, let's do this. So we printed out the first topic, which was like 38 pages. And and Jeff being Jeff, we had to format it so that there was line, it was double space lining so that you could write above and below the line, and we had to put in the numbering so that every fifth line had a number so that you could okay, it's line 4, this word. And I'm like, okay, Jeff, yeah, fine. And we printed it out, and he took one stack and I took another, and we went through, and we I'm just marking up things that, okay, this needs a comma maybe. This word's misspelled, just simple stuff. And Jeff came back and it's just all red. And I'm
Right.
go, Jeff, that's not what we're doing. Like, Margaret had written the word prolly, which Prolly, and she meant probably.
Right.
Simple thing, I caught it and went, okay, and we'll ask Margaret if she wants it changed. And Jeff, same sentence had like 5 more things that Jeff thought needed to be changed. And I'm like, oh, Jeff, this is not going to end well.
That's right. That's right. And no self-awareness on his part that that's what he was doing. Like you have taken the gas tank of what we're trying to do here, and you're pouring as much sugar into it as happily and as quickly as you can, as if this is going to improve things.
Well, in Jeff's mind, he was helping bake a cake.
That's right.
But I just really quick, I had a Jeff moment on Tuesday, because Tuesday was election day, so I went to vote, and I went to my precinct with Natasha, because she's coming with me, because we're going to do another errand after I vote real quick, and, I'm with a 9-year-old, so I'm trying to be cool, but she's asking questions, and okay, and they give her a little future voter sticker, and we get up to the guy, and I hand him my slip, and he goes, "You're voter 301," and I stopped and went, "Oh, Jeff, never gone, never forgotten."
No, you couldn't make that up. You couldn't make that up.
But yeah, so moving on.
He is still with us.